Good day, class. My name is Dr. Yelami Lukman Oyenga. I will be teaching ECN 318, which is International Economics. And for today's class, we will be looking at overview of international economics. Here we'll be looking at what international economics basically entails. At the end of this class, we expect the students to be able to identify the rationale that underline the study of international economics, identify the importance of international economics to Nigeria, and define gains from trade and pattern of trade. And at the end of the day, they should also be able to define protectionism as a concept, exchange rates, balance of payment, and other related concepts that are very critical to a serious discussion of international economics. Let's start with the definition of international economics. International economy is a field of study that applies both macro and micro principles to international trade, which is the flow of trade among nations, and to international finance, which is the means of making payments for the exchange of goods among nations, and also flow of important international like portfolio investments. Also, international economics study the economics interactions among different nations that make up the global economy. This interaction is often viewed in terms of domestic economy and foreign sector. The key economic principle that underlies international economy is the law of comparative advantage. And when you put all these things together, we should have a basic idea of what international economics is all about. Rationale for international trade. Why is international trade important to us? Now, this graph, this picture gives us a hypothetical example of two countries that is integrated and the one that is not integrated. That is a country in isolation. The first one, a country in isolation, is more likely to have a small national market, limited economies of scale, high prices and near monopoly, limited product diversity and different standards. All these constitute characteristics of an isolated economy. And if an economy is integrated to the world, what do we have to gain? We have concepts like increased competitions. We have concepts like increased competitions, economies of scale, specialization, lower price, and interdependence. All these come together to actually give us the benefits and the benefits that are inherent in international economies. With trade, competitions increases and a rationalization of production often take place. And as comparative advantage are being exploited, the articles of trade liberalization usually involve a specialization of productions and the trade of surplus between partners. Greater economies of scale achieved through specialization resulting to lower prices and higher profits. These are the channels through which countries or firms in a globalized economy can actually benefit. It reduces the price for consumers and it also increases the profit for the producer in a globalized economy. That is, an economy that is integrated to other economies of the world. Basically, we look at international trade and Nigeria. Nigeria as a country is not living in isolation. Nigeria has been perfectly depending on international trade. Let's look at this graph. It actually shows how Nigeria has been integrated to the external, to the global economy. That is, the percentage of Nigerian trade, percentage of trade as a percentage of trade as a percentage of GDP of Nigerian economy. This is what it shows. From 1980 to 2015, in 1980, Nigeria has almost 50% of our economy being externally dependent. That is, trade contributes almost 50% of our GDP in 1980, and this moved from 1980 to 2015. And Nigerian trade only contributes 20% in 2015, and that shows in decreasing economy's openness, decreasing in the openness of Nigerian economy from 1980, which is 50%, to 20% in 2015, and that demonstrates some form of protectionism of Nigerian economy. Nigerian economy also, international trade. When you look at this other graph, it shows. When you look at this other graph, it shows the volume of goods exports from Nigeria and the volume of goods imports into the Nigerian economy. The black graph actually shows the volume of imports, while the blue graph actually shows the volume of exports from the Nigerian economy. And it actually shows that Nigeria has been, the growth rate of export is higher than the growth rate of imports in the Nigerian economy. We also look at Nigeria in 2015. Nigeria is the 49th largest economy in the world. In 2015, Nigeria exported $47.8 billion, and our import is $39.5 billion, resulting in a profit trade balance of $8.26 billion in Nigeria. The top export of Nigeria remains crude oil, gas, and refined petroleum, cocoa beans, and raw food. But majorly, crude oil has been the major stake of the Nigerian economy. The sector generates about 27% of foreign earnings and contributes 82% of government revenue. Despite this huge impact on foreign earning and government revenue, this sector merely contributes 82.26% to the total GDP of the Nigerian economy. Now let's look at, we focus on the issues in international economy. Key issues are gain from trade, gain from trade. Gain from trade. 2, pattern of trade. Pattern of trade. 3, protectionism. 4, exchange rate determination. 5, balance of payments. 6, international policy coordination. 7, the last but not the least is international capital markets. Now, we will take turn to explain each of these concepts and their importance to discussion of international economics. Let's start from the gain from trade. Gain from trade is the most important insight in all of the international economy is that gain exists from trade, and the tenet underlying this ability is of two countries to trade to their mutual benefits, even when one of them is more efficient than other in producing everything. The benefits of international trade is not only limited to trading in tangible products. International migration, international borrowing, and lending are also forms of mutual beneficial trade in any serious discussion of economics. And let's look at pattern of trade. This relates to the pattern of international trade, and it focuses more on who should sell what, to whom is it sold, and to actually help us out of this pattern, this issue. We've looked at several theories have been propounded in economics, such as theory of absolute advantage theory, comparative advantage theory, which borders on labor productivities, and Extraordinary-Samuelson theory of trade. All these theories have provided a particular guide in one way or the other to strengthen who should trade who, used to sell what, and to whom it should be sold in any serious discussion of international trade. Absolute trade theory focuses on the output a country can produce with the available the number of outputs a country can produce given the available resources. If you can produce more of that product, it should export that product and import the one you can produce next. And also comparative advantage, it actually borders on efficiency. That is, the the product you can produce with the least opportunity cost, such countries should specialize in production of that product. Extra focuses on factorial endowment. That is, any production in the product, economies should specialize in the production of any commodities that use extensively the labor or the factor of production such countries endow with. And all these form, they provided, all these theories have provided one guide or the other as regards the pattern of international trade. You can also look at the next one, which is protectionism. Despite the fact that we've all agreed that trade is beneficial and pattern of trade being determined, why do we see a country being protecting their economy? It happens severally in the world. In recent time, US, they are advocating protectionism, one form of protectionism on the other, and so also other countries of the world. The major reason is that protectionism simply focuses on how much trade is good for an economy. The major argument for trade protections, restricting trade policy, is that it helps infant country infant firm or companies to grow to a level where they can compete internationally with established foreign counterparts. Other arguments in the literatures include dumping and environmental sustainability. These are key arguments that have been put forward, in protecting any economy. The next one, which is balance of payments. Balance of payment basically is an accounting component of international trade, because when you are involved in international transactions, you must also keep your record like any other petty business to know whether you are making gain or you are making loss, or to know the outflow of your product and the inflow of the other country product that comes to the economy. Basically, it refers to the financial summary of a country's economic transaction with the rest of the world. It attempts to capture the country's relative positions in terms of having a surplus or deficit of balance of payment, which inform policy-maker decisions. In the analysis of balance of payment, we will see clearer picture of the causes, effects, and the consequence of such things as payments, deficit, surplus, and equilibrium. The next thing is exchange rates. The next thing is exchange rates determinations. Now, in international trade, several currencies are involved. The country must actually determine how much its domestic currency is exchanged for foreign currency. In international economies of trade, different countries have different currency. The basic point here is that the relative price of country changes over time and is majorly determined by the domestic activities of such economy. If domestic activities of any economy is doing very fine, it is expected that the currency of that country should appreciate, and such currency should depreciate if a domestic economy is not doing well. And the implication of that is that what determines your currency, the value of your currency in the international economy, is the performance, your domestic performance. And that can actually, though there are politics behind it, but fundamentally they are being determined by the performance of the domestic economy, And the next one, which is international policy coordinations. Several foreign sovereign countries are involved in international trade. And the implication of this is that each of them will come with their domestic policy. In order to prevent conflicting domestic policy at the international stage, there is need for coordination. International economy comprises several nations, each free to choose its own economic policy. Unfortunately, in an integrated world economy, one country economic policy usually affects the other country as well. To produce a degree of harmony among this international trade and monetary policy, different countries needs, there must be a policy coordination at the international level. The last but not the least of this is the growing importance of international trade since the 19th has been accompanied by a growth in international capital market, which links capital market of the different national economy. That's why an investor can bring their money from any other country of the world to come and invest in our capital market, which we generally refer to as particular investment. That means there's no boundary as regards where you can invest your money as an investor if you are interested in. And this makes it possible for the different country or different government of the world to float their bonds outside their country. We have like something like Euro bonds and all this. They are form of benefits that are inherent in international trade. And in a way, they are providing a wide capital opportunity for any country to grow their economy. I won't discuss all this today. We are going to summarize everything. International economy is very important socialization in the field of economy because it encompasses international trade and international finance, which are crucial for modern day economic survival. The core issues in any serious discussion of international economies are the gain from trade, the pattern of trade, protectionism, balance of payment, exchange rate determinations, international policy coordination, and international capital market. I'm going to give you an assignment which is going to basically entails the trade as a percentage of GDP of African countries. I want you to submit the data for me in the next class. Good day.